Sio Nagad, Dakwadola, Cara Cowan Watts. Hello, everyone. This is Cara Cowan Watts with Cherokee 411. What if the best way to understand Cherokee history was through stories you can't put down? The Cherokee Trilogy by James Humphrey brings our history to life, not as dry dates and footnotes, but as lived experience. Yes, there's fiction woven in, but the truth is, Cherokee history is often far more powerful than anything you could make up. These stories are filled with heroes, villains, and everyday Cherokee people facing impossible choices that still shape who we are today. This project is a Cherokee 411 production, created as a historical, cultural, and educational tool to enlighten the public about Cherokee history. It was shot and edited by award winning Dallas cinematographer Jack Watkins, working in close collaboration with the Cherokee citizen and author himself, James Humphrey. The finished project includes 4 videos produced in broadcast, home viewing, and web ready formats, available free for public use through Cherokee 411 and the author's website at jamesahumphrey.com. One extended feature traces Cherokee history from 1779 through the early development of Oklahoma. 3 shorter programs focus on key areas or eras: 1779 to 1836, the forced removal and settlement in Indian Territory, and the Civil War Reconstruction and the rebirth of the Cherokee people in Oklahoma. The books and these films tell our story from our Cherokee point of view, written by a citizen of the Cherokee Nation and inspired by his grandmother, Ella Waters, a Dawes Roll signee. We invite news outlets, Cherokee at large organizations, history and reading clubs, libraries, and schools to download or request digital copies of these presentations and help ensure Cherokee history, language, and culture are known, understood, and remembered, because our stories matter and they're still being written. Wado, this is Cara Cowan Watts with Cherokee 411.
This presentation is about living history. Some famous author once said you learn history, but you live historical fiction. The word in syllabary at the bottom of the screen is Didiohusti. Today, it translates as teacher, but in the late 1700s, as it was used in this trilogy, it meant much, much more. Teacher, mentor, healer, educator. CEO Nakata, James A. Humphrey, Dakwadoa, Paris, Texas, Awadena, Grapevine, Texas, Janella, Osta Igaliya. Hello, everyone. My name is James A. Humphrey. I was born in Paris, Texas. I live in Grapevine, Texas, and I have a good read. Antinella, Alejilagi Sidanella. My grandmother on my dad's side, in Cherokee family. Ella Waters, my grandmother, and Dawes Roll signatories on the left. Her sister Bella gave me the name of a character in my second book, and then to the right is my prominent Eastern Cherokee ancestor. The cover of Cherokee Reel, the last book in my trilogy, features that same Cherokee pot as in book 1, but now it's destroyed beyond repair. The Union hippie in the photo plays vividly in the book's plot, and the fiddle is available for songs gone sour, but is also a symbol of the inspiration of a people to rise and face an uncertain future. As you read the elevator pitch for Cherokee Reel, let me sum it up. The book follows Lisa Waters' journey through decisive Cherokee politics, through her support of Oklahoma's Underground Railroad, the loss of her husband Ezra in the Civil War. Devastated by that loss, she speaks vengeance and then wealth in her battle against her sister's murderer, and simultaneously molds her own identity. Reel opens in the luxury and the new wealthy social society of Fort Smith, while social tensions boil beneath the surface. Lisa Waters, the hero of Book 3, faces the murder of her sister and the political tension which require a move to Dallicott. Embroiled in Cherokee and United States division, Lisa's husband dies at the Battle of Pea Ridge, and her struggles with a Union nurse twist her soul to vengeance. So she joins a Penn guerrilla group. Civil War, Cherokee and nationally, devastates our hero as she battles for family and her people. Redemption offers positivity in post-war education, rebuilding, and enterprise, only to see them destroyed by Reconstruction. Faced with her own and her people's survival, she confronts her personal demons and embraces survival to settle into a new life and a new century. Pictured on the right, the couple is John Ross and his second wife, Mary Stapler, and the insert is Stan Wade. Aligned uneasily at the beginning, the two broke apart to lead their followers in a bitter Cherokee Civil War, mirroring the larger conflict. Lewis Downing is in the small photo, one of the founders of the Kituwa Society. After forced removal, the Cherokees were divided between the old settlers who moved west early, the Treaty Party, which were primarily the signers of the Treaty of New Eshota, and the National Party led by John Ross. Remnants of blood law, assassinations, and retaliatory killings dominated. The Treaty of 1846 sought to restore peace and unity. Provisions of that treaty recognized the Cherokee National Council and the principal chief, plus amnesty for political violence, and reaffirmed Cherokee sovereignty. In 1861, John Ross signs a treaty with the Confederacy. Most Cherokees aligned with the South under the leadership of Stanhope Watty, while John Ross switched his allegiance in 62. He flees to Kansas and then Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. These early days before the war, the Knights of the Golden Circle had secret lodges. They courted the Southern leaders in the territory to affiliate with the Confederacy and encouraged Cherokee alignment with Texas and Arkansas. They exploited the passions of removal and contributed to the rapid swing of much of Indian territory to the Confederacy when war actually broke out in 1861. While the battle did not take place in Indian Territory, Pea Ridge in 1862 settled the conflict early and set Lisa and the Cherokee people into their almost death spiral, pitting two major political groups against each other and facing brother against brother with no real winner. The Battle of Pea Ridge in March of 1862 had profound implications for the Cherokee. It shattered Cherokee control, exposed deep Cherokee divisions, and Confederate Cherokees retreated in disarray. Strengthened by the Battle of Pea Ridge, Union-loyal Cherokee and the Indian Home Guard accelerated a brutal Cherokee Civil War and set the stage for post-war federal punishment, land loss, and treaty concessions of 1866. Even though the Battle of Pea Ridge did not happen in Indian Territory, it settled the issue of Confederacy versus Union prior to the actual Civil War within our borders. With Ross in Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., Union Cherokees were commanded by Colonel John Drew, pictured to the right. The 1863 Battle of Honey Springs, fought near Honey Springs Depot, close to today's Dakota, Oklahoma, sent 3,000 troops, commanded by Brigadier General James G. Blunt, against 3,500 troops under the command of Brigadier General Douglas Cooper. The 1st Kansas Colored Infantry was decisive, breaking the Confederate center. Cherokees fought on both sides. Rebels lost and retreated. The Battle of Honey Springs in July of 1863 actually reinforced the impact of Pea Ridge, broke Confederate power in Indian Territory, and ended any realistic Confederate recovery. It strengthened the local Penns and Home Guard, but at the time, Kansas and Missouri and the Indian Territory remained ripe with guerrilla warfare. On the right are photos of the commanders at Honey Springs. I was most interested in the Penn fighters, and the book features Penn guerrillas. The Civil War in Oklahoma was also a very civil war of Cherokee history and culture. This photograph of the 3 men claims to be Penn guerrillas. I'm not sure if that's correct. I put it here though because years ago, when I was researching Cherokee Reel, a Cherokee woman sent me a photograph of her ancestors, another group of men who were actual Penns. Watty's ambush of the J.R. Williams in June of 1864 plays a prominent role in my book. The incident was not very important in the war, but plays a significant part in the emotional growth of my hero, Lisa Waters. Also, the home on the right belongs to Lewis Ross. After his death, it became an orphanage. The first Cherokee Mounted Rifles were primarily a defensive unit. Late in 1861, Colonel John Drew mainly protected the Ross family in Park Hills from raids and retaliatory violence. After Pea Ridge, when the Mounted Rifles rebelled and disbanded rather than to fight Union forces, that left Ross politically and physically exposed. Soon thereafter, Ross and his family were escorted by Union troops to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. My son and grandson stand on the grounds in this photo of reconstructed Fort Gibson in Oklahoma, which became a Union refuge for affiliated Cherokees late in the war. I include it here with a hearty recommendation that you visit. Also, the picture on the right is of an illustration of Camp Ford. Camp Ford was northwest of Tyler, Texas, and it was the largest Confederate prison camp in the Confederacy. It consisted of open stockades and enclosures, very primitive. Outbreaks of scurvy, dysentery, and malaria were rampant. One of my characters spends a little time at Camp Ford. The camp underscored the collapse of the Confederate infrastructure in the late stages of the war. As the other thing that was happening at the time, as Union and Confederate authority collapsed after 1862, free raiders and guerrilla fighters ran rampant over Indian Territory, Kansas, and Missouri. Free raiders were gangsters. Some Cherokee, some not. Mostly not. They thrived, and they were primarily composed of Cherokee Creek, Seminole, black and white deserters from the military. Civil War Reconstruction in Indian Territory was almost as bad as the war itself. Notice the Cherokee outlet on the map, the site of the next and after my book's end land grab. Stanhope was the first name of Stan Wadey that was given to him and used by the Moravian missionaries where he went to school. These skirmishes and guerrilla raids persisted, both Union and Confederate affiliated, plus free raider action decimated the population. The Fort Smith Council of 1865 plays a significant role in Cherokee Rock. Lisa is a delegate posing as a mayor, and the council was one of the last significant events of John Ross's life before his death in 1866.
The Fort Smith Council in 1865 brought together the Cherokee, the Creek, the Choctaw, Chickasaw, and the Seminole. Samuel Crew Chuley was in charge and dictated largely non-negotiable terms that abolished slavery, recognized the rights of freedmen, and required loyalty pledges to the United States. The Treaty of 1866 formalized the Council's action and marked a turning point in Cherokee history. The treaty established the legal and political framework of government today.
Railroads play a significant role in Indian Territory's recovery from the Civil War, and this railroad intersection in McAllister is featured as My Hero Builds a Fortune through wood tie contracts with railroads.
The mid-1800s saw major railroads, including the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe, and the Missouri, Kansas, Texas, the Katy Road, pushed through our Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, and other tribal lands. However, these railroads facilitated movement of cattle, timber, and agricultural products, but also brought new settlers, merchants, and population growth. This expanse came at the expense of tribal land sovereignty, all by increased encroachment on Cherokee land.
In the book, Lisa builds her empire beginning with steam wood milling, and the two photos are early photos of that burgeoning industry.
In the reel's concluding half of the book, steam sawmill production dominates the storyline. Same time, Stan Waddy and his nephew Elias Cornelius Boudinot attempted to rebuild their fortunes in 1868 with the Boudinot and Waddy Tobacco Company near Weber Falls, trying to take advantage of tax exemptions under the Treaty of 1866. The federal government disagreed with those tax assumptions and seized their factory.
The coal industry in Indian Territory first began around 1840, before the war, but became significant during Reconstruction. More important for Choctaws, the Cherokees also leased mineral rights. In the book, J.J. McAllister, the founder of the town of the same name, was Lisa Waters' primary competitor.
Yeah, the coal industry dominates the latter part of my last book. And it features a friendly economic battle between Lisa Waters, our hero, and the founder of McAllister.
Cherokee Reel and the history within its pages is the final book in my trilogy, which spans a Cherokee freedman's family's trail from the Cherokee American Wars to the dawn of a new century. The story is about more than one family. It is about Cherokee identity and perseverance across generations.
My trilogy follows the Waters family through unbearable upheaval. My Waters family is a symbol of the Cherokee people. Throughout these upheavals, both my family and our people demonstrated resilience, adaptation, and courage to preserve our culture and identity despite constant destructive pressures. The Water family survived, as did we.
Wado Aleos Higaliyea. Thank you and have a good read.